without further ado, we have our man Animarak in the house. Thank you for your patience, Animarak. I had to get through some of those games there, but can't wait to have you on Low Shack in the Bag live. How you doing, my man?
Doing pretty good, Jimmy. How are you doing?
I'm struggling, but I'm so excited about LA. So excited about LA. And I'm also excited for UFC fans. I mean, there's a skills competition on Saturday, but it seems like there's going to be a lot of eyes on this UFC card. Is that how you're feeling too? That the sports world will be looking at UFC this weekend?
Absolutely. And actually, we got a really cool double header this weekend. There's Bellator MMA on Saturday, and then UFC Phoenix is on Sunday, and that's the first UFC fight on ESPN. It's going to be huge, bring a lot of eyes to the sport.
Oh, that's great. Odar Lear says, tailing Bruins. I just love when we can work together on a small card. Nothing excites me more than when there's 400 heads working as one and America. And with all the eyes looking at UFC and us being on this show together live, I'm going to be rolling with you on a lot of these plays. So I'm just going to pull up SBR odds in the UFC section here, betting odds, UFC, because I want to roll with you and be able to help move with let you know what the market is doing in certain situations. Now, I hear that you are liking some underdogs in Bellator. So can you walk me through the doubleheader and the time so I know exactly when we'd be able to make these bets? What Bellator is first?
Bellator is first. Bellator is on Saturday. Usually, Bellator, it's the smaller show, it's the smaller promotion. Usually they're on Friday and the UFC is on Saturday. But since UFC is on Sunday, Bellator is going to be on Saturday night this week. So they're going to be basically prime time, which they're not used to being. And yeah, man, it's some volatility, but I know you're a fan of that. And I think there are some big dogs that could pull through in Bellator on Saturday.
This is exciting. And we have some very famous fighters fighting in Bellator on Saturday. And man, I mean, I'm not a UFC guy, but Roy Nelson and Mirko Cro Cop, Roy Nelson versus Mirko Cro Cop. I mean, man, you have to be under a rock to not know these guys' stories. And when Mirko came in the UFC, how highly regarded he was, and Roy Nelson, he's not foreign to upsets. What are you thinking in this big spot? And I don't have the lines for Bellator up here. I only have the lines for UFC. So I'm going to need you to help me with the line and the line movement. What are you thinking for this big match, Roy Nelson versus Mirko Cro Cop?
Yeah, man, it's exciting. This is actually a rematch. They fought in the UFC years ago. And if you look, these lines are actually up on 5 dimes. You're probably not going to get them on SBR odds, but you can get a good look at them at 5 dimes. I think this fight plays out exactly like the first one did. Both of these guys are older. Neither of them are improving. Neither of them are expanding on their skill set these days. They're just trying to maintain, and they're in Bellator as a retirement career. They're looking for a paycheck. Mirko Cro Cop is known for having performance-enhancing drugs, and if you see some of the pictures circulating with him, he definitely got his old doctor back since he left the UFC. The dude is looking jacked for being a 40-year-old man. But Roy Nelson's no joke. He's got an iron cast chin, and he's incredible on the ground. The one thing that Mirko has always had a problem with, it's the ground game. If you put him on the ground, he's a fish out of water. All he wants to do is kickbox. So he's not going to knock Roy out, because Roy hasn't faded enough that his chin is going to be gone. And when Roy Nelson gets him to the ground, I think he either submits him or he just gets that big old fat belly and lays it on top of him and grinds out a 3-round decision. I got Roy Nelson at plus 180.
That sounds like an enormous amount of value for Roy Nelson. Triple Beams maybe says it best. Right foot in the hospital, left foot in the cemetery for Cro Cop. Wow. That just makes so much sense to me. Roy Nelson at that huge, huge money line. Do you want to move on to the next fight, or do you want to expand on this one a little more?
Well, I just want to let you know, he's saying that was Mirko Cro Cop's, that was his slogan: right leg hospital, left leg cemetery. Those were the head kicks that he was talking about. So he's a fan of Mirko Cro Cop. But yeah, we can roll on to the next fight.
Wow, I took that as I'm an old man and my leg was shattered in front of the whole world. That's how I took that. It's so ridiculous. Wow, I took that as that my left leg's going to take me to the hospital and I'm already dead and I should be retired with my right leg. That's
Mirko
so funny. I didn't realize that was his slogan.
Head kicks.
Listen, I think that's a ton of value. Roy Nelson at plus 185. Come on. How could you not jump on that? I love how we started off. Let's move on to Congo at Minakov. What are you thinking here? And could you let us know who's the favorite and what the movement's been, or if any?
Yeah. So Minakov is the favorite, and the line has been moving his way. People are betting on him. This is another rematch. These are two, again, older fighters. Now, Minakov is from Russia, which means his stats can be a little bit padded, but I think he's like 21-0 or something like that. And when he fought Congo last, he beat him by decision. Now, that was several years ago. Congo is 43 years old, and a lot of people are thinking he's old and he's done. But Congo's last fight out, he fought a recent UFC dropout, Timothy Johnson. And I actually tweeted out that he had value by knockout at plus 400, and he cracked him in the first round and put him down. Surprisingly, Congo is still improving on his game at 43 years old. So I actually like him in the rematch here. You can get him, I think, at plus 375 right now. And this is just a line off type of situation. Minakov is the favorite for a reason, and he very well could win this fight. But I can't pass up 375 on a guy like Congo, especially when he's showing that he's still evolving and still changing his game up, and he's knocking out people like Timothy Johnson. If he connects, I don't see why Minakov can't get knocked out. He's no spring chicken either.
Wow, that's a huge, huge line. Extreme Pick says you swore New York Islanders was ridiculous yesterday. I'd love to hear me say it was ridiculous. Listen, I was all over the Jackets. Extreme Picks. I did not think that the Islanders, I thought it was such a big game for the Jackets, they were going to step up, but obviously not ridiculous. I knew a ton of people who were on the Islanders, and there were a ton of people in the chat. Ridiculous, no. But yeah, I was wrong. And I had a nice winning day in NHL and had the Caps on the big money line. So drink sperm. I agree. Congo plus 375 seems like a nice spot. And I mean, I would definitely, are you going to use the same amount? Like, are you going to put a unit on Roy Nelson and the full unit on Congo, or are you going to put less on Congo?
Yeah, I'd put like a half or a quarter unit on Congo. Just to sprinkle at that line, it's way off. I'm not overly confident that he's going to win the fight. But getting damn near 4-1, like, I got to roll with that. He's showing improvement. He's on an undefeated win streak. I think he's won like 7 in a row or something like that in Bellator. He's rolling. How can you give me plus 400 on a guy who's having that kind of a late surgence in his career?
I hear that. I absolutely hear that. Let's move on to the Paul Daley at Michael Page fight. Another spot at Bellator that does it have you pique your interest?
Absolutely. This is the main event for the Bellator card, and I love this fight. This is Bellator's grudge match. They've been working on this fight for years. Michael Venom Page was kind of their first young gun on the scene in Bellator, and they really tried to make him a homegrown star. He's one of their first guys that they didn't like poach from the UFC or something like that. He didn't come over with a name already. They built him from the ground up. Well, he's 13-0. He's 31 years old, and they've been giving him soft cupcakes that he can just knock out and take down easily, basically. So he's flashy. He likes to strike. He's got a highlight reel. He's 13-0. He's got all the signs, but he's fighting Paul Daley, who is an absolute veteran in MMA. Paul Daley's got 56 fights. He's got 40 wins and 16 losses and a stunning 75% knockout rate. 30 of his 40 wins have come by knockout. The dude is no joke on the feet. And the only way he loses, you look at his record, it's guys like Rory McDonald, John Fitch, Josh Koscheck. These are elite high-level wrestlers that take him down and grind him out or get a submission on him once they've grinded him to the point that he's tired. That's the only way you beat Paul Daley. If you're going to stand with him, you don't beat him. This is a massive step up in competition for Michael Venom Page. And people talk about him like he's the young hot dog on the scene. He's 31. He's not a kid anymore. They've been babying him his entire career. So, you know what? He might win this fight, but you're giving me 2-1 on a veteran that is not that much older than this supposed young rising star that's got knockout power in both hands. And you know that Michael Venom Page is going to stand with Paul Daley. He's not going to take him out, or he's not going to take him down. That's a recipe for disaster. I got Paul Daley all day here.
Wow, Paul Daley. And what are you getting him at?
I think the line is about plus 380. I'm sorry, plus 185 right now.
Plus 185. Wow. And sorry, they're saying in the chat that these fights are tonight. Is that right?
Bellator should be Saturday. Bellator 215, I want to say, is tonight. Bellator 216 is the one we're discussing. That's on Saturday.
Okay, sweet. Okay, that makes sense. Okay. So Roy Nelson at plus 185, Congo at plus 375, Paul Daley at plus 185. Man, that looks a real nice. Wow, you hit one and you're in business. You hit two and you're rich.
Yep. That's the idea.
That's a great look. Let's roll on to UFC. Let me grab now we do have the line movement here. Let me pull it up here. But why don't we start with now I know it's Ngannou and Velasquez. That's the big fight on the card.
Yeah, Ngannou Velasquez is the main event of the UFC Phoenix card. That's going to be the headliner in this case. And I apologize, Jimmy. Something's going on with my camera. I don't know what happened here.
No worries. Let me talk for a bit. But you look good. I see you. Everything looks good from our end.
Okay.
Let's close with the Ngannou fight. Let's talk about the other fights that are interesting, and we have a very interesting note from our man Twatty Latte on that big fight. But why don't we start with let me grab Rivera versus Sterling. That Sterling opens up as a plus 175 dog at BetOnline, all the way down to plus 110. Wild movement.
Yeah.
You always talk about the giant movement here. What do you think about Sterling versus Rivera?
You know what? I actually love this, and I love how much money has come in on Sterling. It's going to make it just that much easier to bet Rivera. I was going to look for a prop on Rivera, like Rivera by decision or something like that, to get the value where I needed it to be. But he's all the way down to, minus 145, something like that. And now we can just play him straight. He is the shorter, stockier of the two, which when you're talking about wrestling is massively important. Both of these guys are wrestlers by trade. So Aljo Sterling is going to have a real hard time getting under Rivera's hips because he's the shorter guy. And if he does try to come in on Rivera, Rivera's got a fantastic boxing game and he's got power in both hands. So I just don't see how Aljamain Sterling wins this fight. He's not a fantastic striker by any means. He's got the height advantage. He's got the reach advantage, but he does not have the striking credentials to fight this game, a kickboxing type of match, and win from the outside. He's going to have to come in. He's going to have to wrestle. That's all he does. So I love Rivera, and especially at this short price, I don't care what the market says. I'm taking it.
Wow, I like that. Going against the market move. And now you're getting Rivera at a nice price. Best price on the board, minus 130 at BetOnline. So there is that spot. Now, why don't we talk about Felder versus Vick? Felder opens up as a minus 135 favorite, and all of a sudden, he's a dog, Animarak. A dog, wild. Vick opens up as a plus 115 dog at BetOnline. Now he's a minus 116 favorite. Wild. Why the market move, and what are you thinking here?
Vick is just a fan favorite. He's got a reach advantage, and he might have a boxing advantage. He's very aggressive. So I think a lot of people are just really high on him, basically. I think this is kind of a dog or pass situation for a lot of people. They saw the value on James Vick as an underdog. Well, now that the line has flipped, or it's come down to basically even money going for either guy, I'm going to lean Felder here. James Vick has kind of a questionable chin. He's been cracked a couple of times. And Paul Felder's last fight out, he went up a weight class to 170 and fought Mike Perry, who's just a much bigger man. And he lost that fight, but he broke his arm in the fight. And you could see that it visibly messed with him. If he hadn't broken his arm, I think he wins that fight. And that changes the public perception. They see one guy who's kind of a hype train, had a bad knockout loss to a big name, but they think he's going to get back on track here. And Paul Felder just doesn't seem all that impressive to the general public. But Paul Felder is actually a really smart fighter. I think he's going to play the Matador. I think he's going to kind of dodge away from James Vick as he's coming in, and he's going to find a spot on that chin. I think he'll crack him. And a lot of people think this fight goes to decision. I think Felder gets it done inside the distance. It's an even money spot, so I think I'll just play him straight because he is a smart enough fighter. He can win a decision. He can play this very smart. But this is really, truly a coin flip fight. But I think you're getting value now on the favorite since it's down to about even money.
Wow, I like that look. The best line you can get is at Heritage at plus 105 on Paul Felder. You got Moss saying, we rolling with the Rangers tonight? No. I'm not rolling with the Rangers, and I'll never roll with the Rangers on the road, even though they look pretty good in Winnipeg. But how bad did Winnipeg just look against Colorado? So maybe that was a fraudulent spot. And shout out to Chip Chipperson. And Mikey D says, I'm loving this MMA coverage. Have my pencil and paper rocking. Great guest. You are a great guest. And now, Animarak, we go into the big big fight of the weekend. And Twadi Latte leading us in saying Francis Ngannou can't beat Cain. Obviously one-shot potential, but Cain should completely outclass Ngannou. Probably will be my biggest bet of the year. Minus 154 is a dumb line. What do you think about that, Animarak?
Well, first off, thank you very much for the love from the chat. I love you guys. Love coming on the show. Second off, I got Ngannou when it opened at plus 175. Cain, there are too many questions. Cain Velasquez, prime Cain Velasquez, may have been the best heavyweight fighter we have ever seen in the octagon. That was a long, long time ago. He's coming off of a 2-year layoff, multiple surgeries. His last notable win was when he lost by submission to Fabricio Verdum for the title. And then after that, he beat up a withered Travis Brown, which honestly, I kind of put a line through that fight. I don't think it matters. Travis Brown was nothing like the guy people thought he was, and he really got exposed after that loss to Cain. That was the beginning of the downhill slide. So I haven't been impressed by Cain the last 2 times we've seen him. And Cain is a smaller heavyweight. Now, he's an incredible wrestler. So, yes, he could come out and he could put Ngannou on his back and grind him out or TKO him, just slicing him up with elbows and making it bloody like he does. But we don't know that we're going to get that Cain. We don't know that he's going to have the gas tank to come out and do that. Ngannou has to cut weight to get the 265-pound limit when he weighs in. He's a massive man made of solid muscle. And it took everything that Stipe Miocic had just to hold him down when he had that championship title fight a year or 2 ago. And Cain, his defense is bad. He leaves himself open. Yes, he dives in for the takedown and he can take most men down, but he counted on his chin to eat those shots. You can't count on your chin when you're fighting Francis Ngannou. The dude set the world record for punching power. I'm not even kidding. So I'm going to take Ngannou. I'll roll the dice on that KO. And honestly, if Cain is older and withered, like he very well could be in this case, maybe he gets him down in the first round. What if he actually can't get him down in the second round? This fight starts standing. Every round starts standing. And Ngannou is very well aware that he's fighting a wrestler in this case. He's gone back to basics, and I think we're going to see an improved Ngannou, and I think this is the last time you're going to see underdog money on Ngannou for a long time.
Wow. What a very interesting breakdown going against Twadi Latte's biggest bet of the year. Now,
I hate going against Twadi Latte, though.
Yeah, he's a great guy, great capper, but do you think there's still value at plus 140? Did you hear that Joe Anisi got Ngannou at plus 375 over a month ago? What a find, Joe Anisi. And Elio Thompson saying Felder KOs Vick, which is exactly what Animarak wants to hear. So is there still value at plus 140?
So the line has basically normalized. Shout out to Joe who got that plus 300 because that is nuts. Ngannou around 2-1 plus 185 plus 170. That's where there's value on him getting that KO. When you get down to where the line is about now, we're going to probably start seeing some buyback on Cain because Twadi Latte's got the right idea at minus 140, minus 150. That's probably about where Cain should be lined based on how we've seen him perform in the past. So I don't know that there's that much value on Ngannou at this point. I know it's not even money. Ngannou is an underdog, but essentially this fight is a coin flip. All right. One guy gets their way, and that's who's going to win. So I would still lean Ngannou just because you're getting that dog money on it. Because if he clips Cain while he's coming in for a takedown, fight's over. If Cain gets in and dodges that punch and puts Ngannou on his back, fight's over. So even though it looks like Cain's a big favorite, really this is a very, very close type of fight. I tend to lean with the dog if you're going to flip a coin that way. But you could also wait probably a little closer to fight time. I'll bet the sharps all come in on Cain as the line drops like that. You can get Ngannou at a dog line again when it gets closer to kickoff.
Wow, very, very exciting and great breakdowns. Shout out to LoBagger Tara Nicole, celebrating her birthday yesterday. Much love, Tara. Love having you a part of the LoBag fam. Yeah, Animarak, great breakdown. So, Animarak on the Bellator card, going for big dogs. Roy Nelson, now I'm going to give the best lines that you can get right now, but Roy Nelson plus 185, Congo plus 375, Paul Daley plus 185. And then on the UFC card the following night, Rivera minus 130 and Felder plus 105. And then right now, if you wanted Ngannou, that'd be plus 140. So all three of those fighters, and America is going against the market Very, very exciting spot. Animarak, thank you so much for joining us. You're a great guy, great capper. Where can we find you on Twitter? And what else are you up to? Are you doing any live broadcasts leading up to the fights?
So I'm not doing a live broadcast, Jimmy, but I actually have started my own podcast. It's called the Die Hard MMA Podcast. You can find me personally on Twitter at Maximus in 3D. But if you want to follow me strictly for MMA related stuff and follow me for the podcast, it's at MMA_hard. I couldn't get Die Hard because of the movie. But you can find my podcast on iTunes, on Stitcher, on YouTube. I'm on Google. I'm pretty much everywhere. We've only got 2 episodes out, so we're just getting rolling. But I would appreciate the LoBaggers support, giving me a follow over there. If nothing else, drop by on Twitter. I'm happy to chat MMA. I'm happy to give you my opinion or break down fights that we didn't touch on in the podcast or here on the show with you guys. And thanks again for having me.
Hey guys, thanks for tuning in to our channel. Now, we've put a lot of work into producing all these free videos, so please help us out and keep all our content free for you forever by simply liking, sharing, commenting, and subscribing. Now, not to mention, a visit to our industry-leading website will warm the hearts of all our SBR employees, especially myself. Now, the links are over there to the left, so do check those out. Thanks for watching.